Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0141. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
The driver who plowed his minivan into a crowd of soccer fans in Liverpool, England, has been sentenced to more than 21 years in prison. More than 130 people were hurt. The incident captured on video.
Judge Andrew Menery called the footage truly shocking.
It is difficult, if not impossible, to convey in words alone the scene of devastation you caused. It shows you quite deliberately accelerating into groups of fans time and time again.
Prosecutors say Paul Doyle flew into a fury because he couldn't get where he was going fast enough to pick up friends. Doyle sobbed during the two-day sentencing as prosecutors detailed the May 26 crime. He had pleaded guilty to 31 counts. A defense lawyer said he was horrified by what he did and did not expect sympathy. I'm Julie Walker.
News and analysis at townhall.com. The last pennies are going for big bucks.
Auction bidders spent top dollar for some of the final pennies to be circulated in the U.S. before the government ended the cents production. The U.S. Mint sold 232 3-cent sets for a whopping sum of $16.76 million last Thursday. One of those sets contained the last 3 pennies ever to be made. It sold for $800,000. Each set comprised 2025 pennies struck in Philadelphia and Denver, along with a 24-karat gold Lincoln cent. Each penny also bore a unique Omega symbol. Keith Peters, Washington.
The proposed $85 billion merger of the Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern Railroads has lost the support of 2 of their biggest unions, representing more than half their workers. They're worried the deal will increase safety risks, among other concerns. More on these stories at townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good morning to everyone all across the John Fredericks Media Network. Michael Patrick Leahy broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Boy, do we have quite a show for you today. It's time for the Morning Rundown, which is brought to you every day at this time by our friends at the Glock Store. Glockstore.com, located just a few miles from the airport, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So, here we go. Here is the Morning Rundown for Tuesday, December 17th, 2025. Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. Time flies when we're having fun. Thank you for the correction from our intrepid producer. Yes, if you're driving today, it's Wednesday all day. Okay. Number 1, President Donald Trump has announced a blockade on sanctioned oil tankers going out of Venezuela and declared the government of Nicolas Maduro there in Venezuela a terrorist organization. Number 2, President Trump will address the nation tonight, reportedly on the topic of affordability. Tom Zawistowski will talk with us about that in hour 2. Number 3, Senator Marsha Blackburn supports complete reform of our healthcare system. We'll talk with her about that in hour 3. Number 4, Chuck Schumer threatens yet another shutdown of the government on January 30th. Number 5, The Clown Show. That is the Providence Police Rhode Island Attorney General, quote, investigation into the Brown University murder of 2 students continues. The shooter apparently shouted, Allahu Akbar, according to reports, but officials won't admit it. I wonder why. Number 6, Speculation abounds that one of the victims, there were two victims, Ella Cooks, a 19-year-old student from Alabama at Brown University, in that room, was targeted because she is a conservative Catholic and leader of the campus Republican Club. That's speculation, but it would seem to me that's an area of investigation really worth exploring. Who didn't like Ella Cooks and why? That person would be a person of interest to me. Number 7, legal expert Phil Klein will talk to us about the FBI email that told the Department of Justice under Joe Biden they did not have probable cause to raid Mar-a-Lago. He had advance warning on this. I'll tell you about that. Number 8, at the bottom of this hour, our reporter Tom Pappert will talk to us about the latest Kilmar Abrego Garcia legal shenanigans. Number 9, here in Nashville, the Metro Council, which is, by the way, composed of 38 left-wing nutcases and 2 somewhat sane people, they apparently oppose the Music City tunnel being constructed by Elon Musk's Boring Company. It's not that expensive. It won't cost much to the city. It won't cost anything to the city or the state, and it will lessen traffic congestion. But they don't like it because ... It's Elon Musk, and he's friends with Trump. Number 10, Sean Farash, the very best Trump impersonator in the world, will join us in hour 3. So there you go. Brought to you this morning, Wednesday, December 17th, 2025, by our friends at the Glock Store. This is when I get to talk about my good friend Lenny McGill and his incredible Glock Store. Have you been wondering what to get that special Second Amendment guy or gal in your life? Well, it's never too early to start thinking about it, and it's never too early to save, especially when you visit Glockstore.com. The huge Glock Store Christmas sale is going on now, and they have incredible discounts on virtually everything they sell. I'm talking huge discounts on optics, barrels and compensators, magazines and extensions, extended controls, slide cuts, and so much more, including incredible deals on factory rebuilt Glocks. Hey, if you can't tell the difference, why pay the difference? And don't forget to drop in a Vortex Red Dot reindeer sticker or patch, or a Vortex Tactical Christmas Tree sticker or patch for a chance to win either a Glock 47 or a Glock 45. Nicely equipped with a Vortex Red Dot optic. It really couldn't be any easier to get the best deals of the year on the best gear in the country. That's the huge Christmas sale going on now at Glockstore.com. Okay, we talked about the clown show going on in Providence, Rhode Island. And this is like DEI Central. These are people that have moved up the chain, not because they're competent, but because they check all the DEI letters. Here's one. The Rhode Island Attorney General, a left-winger Democrat, was just going ballistic because somebody suggested that perhaps a potential person of interest might possibly be Muslim. Clip 2.
Question about that name, and I know the name that you're asking about because a member of the media asked me about it. I am familiar with it. I wasn't familiar with it when the media member asked me about it. I think it was either CBS or NBC. I asked my team about it, and I think this is an area where caution is really necessary. There are lots of reasons why a page might be taken down, particularly if there's chatter out there about, to your question, Amanda, about words that were spoken. It's easy to jump from someone saying words that were spoken to what those words are, to a particular name that reflects a motive targeting a particular person. That's a really dangerous road to go down.
Okay, so what's he talking about here? There's a student with Muslim name, apparently born in Lebanon, recently arrived, part of the pro-Palestinian group. And that student at Brown just had his page taken down. I don't know, some of the Brown University group. Page taken down. It's a logical question to ask. Well, what's the deal with this person? Oh, you can't ask about this person. The guy didn't say Muslim there once. Okay, well, we don't know who did it. asterisk. Lots of questions. Here is, by the way, the Providence police chief, who can barely speak English, who is being corrected on something. Clip 3.
So the video that we showed you came from inside the building, and that's all we had at the moment. That's all we have at this moment. Correct.
Inside the building, though?
I'm sorry.
It's from the outside of the building.
From the
I'm sorry.
outside, so do you have video from
Yes.
inside the engineering
Both
building?
inside and outside. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so the guy says, oh, we don't have anything from the outside. Then he says, oh, yeah, we have something inside now. Guy doesn't know what he's talking about. The guy is a DEI promotion. We got to look into that guy's background. Okay, speaking of clueless, here is the female president of Brown University demonstrating for the umpteenth time how clueless she is about this investigation. Clip 5. Let's go with this right now.
I believe some web pages for students or faculty have been taken down. Is that a response to any external threats to anyone in the community?
We have been working very closely with law enforcement to provide them with all of the internal to Brown information that they need to do this investigation. It's their investigation. They're the professionals. So we're providing information. We're not in the job of reviewing it for them. I know nothing about web pages being taken down as part of this. It's the first I've heard of it.
Okay, she sounds an awful lot like Sergeant Schultz on Hogan's Heroes. I know nothing. She knows nothing. By the way, the press there in these press conferences, they've been very easy on. I mean, you think, oh, they've asked hard questions. Look, we need to go there, and here are two questions to ask that they haven't asked them. Number one, Mr. Police Chief, there's a report from multiple witnesses that the shooter shouted Allahu Akbar when he was shooting. Is that true? Did he shout Allahu Akbar? They didn't ask that. And then the other question we'll get to a little bit later in the show. There are reports that Ella Cook, the 19-year-old conservative student from Alabama, was specifically targeted. Was she targeted? Ask that question. Do you have any evidence to support that? They're not asking those questions. This is a clown show, and it's the result of DEI promotions. People can't do. Blue cities can't run their cities because they're run by a bunch of nutcases. Back with Bill Klein after this.
Up in 7-Elevens and every corner of Virginia.
The General Assembly has spoken on this.
Skill games. These things are illegal.
It's the Wild Wild West. Fights break out. Robberies increase.
Skill games. They prey on the less fortunate.
I say it's a tax on the poor.
They're breaking the law.
My job is to enforce the law. These machines are not allowed.
Enforce the law and get them out of there.
When you see skill games, call the local sheriff.
These things are illegal.
Paid for by Churchill Downs.
The math is simple. Every dollar we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight violent crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste and frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree this is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervision. Visit safersupervision.com to help. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
Is your pet ready for some pawsome fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at creeksidepethotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
My Patriot Supply. America's most trusted survival food company, wishes you and yours a very Merry Christmas. As our gift to you, we've got an amazing deal on survival food kits. Buy one, gift two. That's right, for a limited time, when you grab our best-selling 4-week emergency food kit, we'll include 2 one-week kits free to hand out as gifts. That's 4 weeks of emergency food for you, and 2 ready-to-give gifts for anyone on your list who's into preparedness, or anyone who needs a nudge in that direction. But they're only available for a limited time. Grab yours at mypatriotsupply.com and give the gift of food security this Christmas. With 2,000 calories per day, 16 delicious meal and snack varieties, and up to 25-year shelf life, it's no wonder our 4-week food kit is the best-selling emergency food supply of all time. But the buy one, gift two Christmas special won't last long. So claim yours now at mypatriotsupply.com. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at GlockStore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at GlockStore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This Christmas, my heart is filled with gratitude. The birth of Jesus Christ changed the world forever, bringing hope, peace, and a Savior who walks with us through every season. I'm grateful for this community, for your kindness, and for the chance to serve alongside you in a meaningful ways throughout the year ahead. From my family to yours, Merry Christmas. May God bless you, your home. Happy birthday, Jesus.
Paid for by Mark Pody for Senate, Candace Graham Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We are joined on our Newsmaker line right now by one of the leading legal experts in the country, former Attorney General for the state of Kansas, now Professor of Law at Liberty University, Phil Klein. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Michael.
Okay, so yesterday, John Solomon at Just the News reported that he had a copy of a memo from the FBI to the Biden Department of Justice saying they did not have probable cause to raid Mar-a-Lago. And yet they did. You had some advance notice of this and had advised, I don't know, like 6 months before the raid. I think you had a memo out warning that the lawless Biden Department of Justice might just try something like that. Tell us about your memo and where it went and tell us your analysis of this.
Well, it was pretty clear early on what the aim of the Justice Department was, and that was to compromise President Trump in his election bid, in his reelection bid, so that they were going to go after in a public way any type of action, conduct that would generate newspaper articles and criticism of the president and a belief of a possible criminal act. And so in March of 2021, about 5 months before the raid, I wrote a memo outlining how the Justice Department was going to do this. I believed it was a violation of current procedures, that they were willing to violate standard operations of the Department of Justice and FBI to accomplish this media fait accompli that Trump had violated the law, and so that they were going to roll up, black SUVs up the Mar-a-Lago driveway to try to get some media coverage of their investigative efforts, and that's exactly what they did. So I wrote a memo detailing what I thought they would do, how they would do it, and I sent it to various persons involved with the Trump effort and others.
How did they respond?
Well, I had outlined a strategy of response. Initially, they spoke as if they were adopting that strategy, but then they followed a different one.
Yeah.
And it didn't prevent what was happening. My approach would have been to be aggressive on those weak points of law up front and to expose what they were doing before they did it. And the Trump folks didn't. They said they were going to do that, but then they didn't.
So they kind of missed it, right? Kind of missed it. Could have, would have, should have.
Yeah. A lot of people missed it. And it was evident and it was clear, Michael. They didn't need probable cause. They didn't need anything. They just needed some type of hook. And the hook that they found at that time was, well, you've got classified documents, and they knew he had classified documents because Trump was cooperating with folks about which documents he could keep and those he had to return. So he was in contact. They knew exactly what they would find there. Because Trump was cooperating. And in fact, what John Solomon is reporting is that various FBI officials were saying that. We don't have probable cause as it relates to intent, because here's a former president in a transition that lasted, just a few days because of all of the election dispute and so forth. It's hard to prove that he intentionally retained these documents in violation of law when he's sitting there talking to us about which documents he has to return and which documents he can keep. But that doesn't make any difference to Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland he weaponized the Department of Justice as no attorney general previously in the United States history has done. The scope that he gave Jack Smith to investigate was for each and every entity that might be involved with any effort to interfere with the lawful transfer of power. Well, Garland defined interference with the lawful transfer of power, putting a Trump sign in your yard. Interfered. He broadened it to the point that they subpoenaed cell phone records without notice of United States senators and congressmen, over 600 conservative organizations and leaders and nonprofits, attorneys general in Michigan and other states tried to follow that lead. The Michigan attorney general subpoenaed contribution records for funding the defense of the Trump electors. So she was getting into those who contributed to provide a legal defense. It's stunning. And
I mean, the legal defense, our client attorney privileges are confidential, right?
Well, yeah, and the intimidation that you can engage in. In fact, the United States Supreme Court said the government shouldn't get the contribution records of nonprofits in a case that's decades old, over a half century old. So they violated every norm possible to criminalize dissent in this country. It was combined with joining with nonprofits to engage in a censorship regime. It goes on and on. It truly is offensive to American ideals, what the Garland Department of Justice did and what the left did to try to defeat Trump.
Isn't Jack Smith testifying today?
He's supposed to testify today, yes.
What are they going to ask him? Is he going to answer those questions, or is he going to take the fifth?
It's hard to say what he would do. I can't predict it. He's got his counsel. He's been discussing with counsel his responses to Congress, and actually the responses are coming from his counsel rather than Jack Smith. So there's a good chance he might take the fifth. If I don't think that this is Trump-like. You've got a referral of Obama to the Department of Justice. I don't think we ought to be doing that. I think we need to get at the truth, but we have to be bigger than the left and stop this trend of the weaponization of the Department of Justice, because that's a destroyer of free society.
So, the true point. But here's the question, Phil. They get control of the presidency in January of 29, and the kind of lawfare that we saw under the Biden administration will be pale in comparison to what they do. What can we do to stop that?
Well, that's what I think we ought to give Jack Smith. Trump ought to give Jack Smith immunity that waives his Fifth Amendment privilege, and it allows us to get at the truth. So certain select people he ought to pardon, and then get at the facts and reveal the facts to the American people, because he's not going to be able to complete all this within 2 to 3 years.
He's not, no.
And drilling down and revealing to the American people the extent that their government viewed them as the enemy needs to be the goal before the next election, because we've never seen anything like this. Now, we've got, there's a challenge with media, but I'll tell you what, Trump issuing pardons would get the media attention.
So
I don't
here's
know
the
if
thing. Let's say, I like your idea, but what happens? Let's say he pardons Jack Smith of any crimes. And Jack Smith then can't take the fifth. What does Smith say, or does he try to scoot around it?
Well, he could be held in contempt. If he's silent, he go to prison.
Got it. If he refuses. Excellent point.
So there's and obstruction of justice potentially. So there's a lot of avenues there, and I actually think the target ought to be Merrick Garland.
Yeah.
And so if Trump pardons some of those involved in the investigation and goes within the internals of the Department of Justice and reveals what they were doing and how the Biden administration was involved in it, then we've got a lesson for history, and we've got a story to tell. So I don't think we ought to prosecute former President Obama. I think that's a way to divide the
What about
country to its
prosecuting?
very core.
What about pardons to Jack Smith and all the underlings, and target the possibility of looking at abusive law and position by former Attorney General Merrick Garland?
Well, I think you ought to look at Merrick Garland, and I think you ought to look at Clinton.
At Clinton?
At Clinton. There's a lot of questions about their flow of money. There's a lot of questions about how they ginned up the dossier, the Steele dossier, about how they use their friends within the FBI to give legitimacy of that. I think there's some issues surrounding Comey. So there's some reasons to investigate. But some of these players, he needs to show that he's not just trying to punish anybody who's opposed to him. He's trying to get at the truth and reveal the truth. And the truth has some consequences for some people who are at the center of it. Now, Jack Smith is a hack.
Yeah.
He's the guy that went after, he should never prosecute in the United States ever again. Send him back to The Hague. He has taken theories against Republicans to the United States Supreme Court, theories of law to prosecute Republicans that were defeated and rejected 8-0.
So the bottom line is Jack Smith should change his name to Hacksmith. And on that note,
I think that's appropriate.
All right, Phil Klein, thank you for your excellent analysis. Like those ideas. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, speaking of legal shenanigans, after the break, we'll be joined by our lead political reporter, Tom Pappert. What legal shenanigans are the big-time lawyers doing to help that illegal alien, Kilmar Abrego Garcia? Back after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendment, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
Did you ever stop and think, why do the wealthy pay less taxes than we do? One reason, they take full advantage of the IRS tax code. Today's tax code is over 2 million pages. Who can read that? Remember the 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton? When asked why he doesn't pay more taxes, President Trump had the perfect answer. He said, if you don't like the current tax code, change it. I follow the very laws that you wrote. That's where Julio Gonzalez and his company, Tax Engineered Services, comes in. Julio's team looks at your taxes after they're done, but before you file them with the IRS. He doesn't get between you and your accountant. He reviews your taxes, makes his recommendations, and only gets 5 to 10% of what he saved you. No money up front, no cost. It's tax literacy for MAGA. He also sees what grants you may qualify for. For more information, text ETS to the number 26786. That's ETS to 26786. Text now.
Lifestyles Unlimited is a real estate education group that gives you the roadmap and resources to start building income through real estate. You'll learn practical strategies for using investment properties to create extra income and make informed decisions, one step at a time. Join today for just $297. That's a 60% savings off the regular price of our real estate education program. Text RADIO to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Is your pet ready for some pawsome fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at creeksidepethotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall & Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall & Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal. With locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, D.T. McCall & Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. We are joined on our Zoom Newsmaker line right now by our lead political reporter at the Tennessee Star, winner, along with our executive editor, Christina Botteri, and yours truly, of the new Pulitzer Prize, a replacement of the Pulitzer Prize, the Dow Prize for Best Local Journalism in the country, Tom Pappert. Tom, what are the latest? It seems like, the never-ending story of legal shenanigans to provide excessive process protections for the illegal alien who is alleged and had been arrested for alleged human smuggling. That guy. You broke a story yesterday. Bring us up to what you broke and then tell us what's new.
Well, Michael, not many developments have happened since yesterday when we reported that the Department of Justice has finally reacted to the decision by Judge Paula Zinnes, another Obama-appointed judge, regarding whether Kilmar Abrego Garcia could be deported. Last week, Zinnes, infamous decision she wrote, she determined that Abrego Garcia had no final deportation order. This is despite his immigration case having been closed since 2019, when an immigration judge wrote in a final order that Abrego Garcia conceded he was deportable, but this Obama-appointed judge had a very formalist argument. She said that because this other immigration judge back in 2019 neglected to include the words, "you are deportable," that this was not, in fact, a final deportation order. And this sort of left legal analysts wondering what the Trump administration would do, because what this did is this left Abrego Garcia as an illegal immigrant with no path to citizenship or legal status whatsoever, facing criminal charges, who could not potentially ever be deported by the Trump administration because, again, his final deportation order is not a final deportation order, at least according to Judge Paula Zinnes. So the Trump administration looked at these facts and it's very clever. They said, okay, Judge Zinnes, if you are going to tell us that the case never closed back in 2019, he has no final deportation order, well, that means immigration proceedings are ongoing. And within hours of the judge getting her decision published, the DOJ and Department of Homeland Security obtained yet another final deportation order. It's just an amended version of the 2019 one that specifically addresses her concerns about those four little words: you must be deported. Now that this is in place, they are arguing that Abrego Garcia's status has changed. Rather than being an illegal immigrant with a final order of deportation who has a withholding of removal that has allowed him to stay in the country and et cetera, Maryland man. No, that's no longer the case. Now he has an active immigration case. He has the opportunity to appeal it. And because this is an active case, the Trump administration says, well, we can put him back in jail. So Paula Zinnes has granted the request by Abrego Garcia's attorneys for an extra 20 hours to issue their filing. I thought it would be in this morning, Michael, but it is not. Their response. We will know not until December 22nd whether the judge grants the prosecutor's request, the government attorney's request, and dissolves her restraining order blocking them from rearresting Abrego Garcia.
Tom, Andrew Arthur, who writes at the Center for Immigration Studies, had just published this morning. Understanding the tortured saga of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Okay. So here we go. Basically, let me just read some of this, which basically says the following. To be granted protection, Abrego is required to show a preponderance of the evidence that he faced persecution if returned on account of at least one of the following 5 grounds: race, religion, nationality, membership in a social group, or political opinion. The second immigration judge concluded it was more likely than not that Abrego would be persecuted upon return by the Barrio 18 gang due to his membership in a particular social group, immediate family members of the Abrego family. In reality, based on the facts as laid out in the second IJ's decision and viewed in the best light to the alien, Abrego and his family members were threatened as part of an extortion scheme by Barrio 18 members, not because of their membership in that familial unit, basically, and that without more than that, doesn't appear in the record, doesn't merit statutory withholding protection. He's saying Jones got it wrong. Here's where he goes on to this. Due to the immigration judge's references at key points in his decision to Guatemala, here we go again, Tom, Guatemala, not El Salvador, it's not entirely clear from that decision that El Salvador was the country from which removal was withheld. Finally, a separate and more formal order issued by Jones, commonly referred to as a minute order, would have cleared that up between El Salvador and Guatemala. But as evidence in Abrego's federal case revealed, the Jones decision never issued such a minute order. And consequently, they're saying never ordered this release. So the CIS guy says, oh, there's something called a minute order which should have been released. Well, that's been corrected now, right? Does this mean now, walk us through the process when his attorneys come back and say, what are they going to say?
Well, it will be very interesting to see what Abrego Garcia's attorneys come back with, because this order, the new one, we don't have the order itself, but the DOJ described it in its filing, and it said that it similarly contains the withholding of removal. He's not going to be sent to El Salvador, but I think one of their complaints is Zinnes said outlandishly that not only must a final deportation order say final deportation on X date to Y nation, she specified the Y nation part, meaning supposedly that not only did the immigration judge in 2019 have to say you are deportable with a withholding of removal to whatever country it may be, but we're then going to send you to Liberia or Costa Rica or whatever the case may be, Eswatini. That's an insane fiction, of course, because this practice was not common or I think even possible as far back as 2019. The only reason why it began is because this year the Trump administration, Marco Rubio, made a deal with El Salvador to use them as a third-party country of removal. And now there's a couple more agreements with Liberia, with Costa Rica, etc. But so I think that will likely be one of the complaints or one of the gotchas is really what it is, that Abrego Garcia's attorneys will say, well, all the way back in 2019, Judge David M. Jones didn't even know you were going to deport him to Liberia.
Yeah, this fellow at CIS, Andrew Arthur, I think he's got a background as a DHS immigration attorney, writes this morning. This is interesting. I want to get your reaction. Judge Zinnis's December 12th order smacks of pre-crime, a concept advanced in the 2002 sci-fi police thriller Minority Report to stop offenses before they occur. That has no place in our jurisprudence. Having made her findings about the lack of a final removal order for Abrego in her December 11th order, Judge Zinnis should now allow the well-trod administrative review process to proceed. Your thoughts on that?
Well, he's right, but I would say it's more nuanced than that, because what her order did was it blocked the DHS from rearresting Abrego Garcia in violation of her previous order to release him. But the real problem with this, beyond the fact that she's talking about hypothetical offenses that may happen in the future potentially, what she was really doing with this, I think, was trying to protect her bad decision, because now we're seeing the Trump administration, perhaps she anticipated this, in other words, if there is no final order of deportation, the case is ongoing, we're taking him back to custody. Perhaps she saw this coming and thought her insane hypothetical if-then order would give her some cover.
Let me give you the background on Andrew Arthur. He's with the Center for Immigration Studies. Our friends, of course, Mark Krikorian is the guy who runs it. Andrew Arthur, he's a resident fellow in law and policy, and he's a graduate of the University of Virginia, has a JD degree from George Washington University. He served as staff director for the National Security Subcommittee on the House of Representatives. Before that, he worked for the Judiciary Committee. He began his legal career in the Attorney General's Honors Program at the Department of Justice. And let's see, he was a trial attorney and associate general counsel at the U.S. Immigration and Naturalization Service within the Department of Homeland Security. So he's got some background there. When I read his content here, it's a little bit of dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And I think kind of what he's saying is this: let the process play out. I think, and get your reaction on this, Tom, I think what's going to happen is very quickly, as soon as we get the response from his defense attorneys, Paula Zinnis, whatever they say, she's going to be, go along with, I would guess. Your thoughts on that, Tom?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's where this is headed. Judge Paula Zinnis is going to say this new final deportation order doesn't count. It doesn't say what country he's supposed to go to. But the sooner this gets out of her courtroom, the sooner we can get back to reality. And I think the current standing of the government, position of the government, is very intelligent and very good. I think that this is, again, an outlandish amount of due process, but it's the correct thing to do in all likelihood, because what now happens is Abrego Garcia gets to appeal his decision to the Bureau of Immigration Appeals, and then if he doesn't like what they say, he gets to appeal it again to the U.S. Court of Appeals, and once this is all gone and he's received yet more due process, he will be deported from the United States. That's where I see this ending.
Tom, when we come back, I want you to, we're going to do another series on due process in criminal proceedings. And we're going to do this about Derek Chauvin, who's been convicted, I think, second-degree murder in the death of George Floyd. We're going to contrast, well, you'll tell us about the series we're going to do. We're going to contrast the due process he received, the legal support he received, with the huge level of legal support Kilmar Abrego Garcia is getting. Back with Tom Pappert after this.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Did you ever stop and think, why do the wealthy pay less taxes than we do? One reason, they take full advantage of the IRS tax code. Today's tax code is over 2 million pages. Who can read that? Remember the 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton? When asked why he doesn't pay more taxes, President Trump had the perfect answer. He said, if you don't like the current tax code, change it. I follow the very laws that you wrote. That's where Julio Gonzalez and his company, Tax Engineered Services, comes in. Julio's team looks at your taxes after they're done, but before you file them with the IRS. He doesn't get between you and your accountant. He reviews your taxes, makes his recommendations, and only gets 5 to 10% of what he saved you. No money up front, no cost. It's tax literacy for MAGA. He also sees what grants you may qualify for. For more information, text ETS to the number 26786. That's ETS to 26786. Text now.
Trump 2.0 is in full effect. How do you keep up with all the action? I'll tell you. TrumpNationNews.com is your inside source for the inside scoop. Manufacturing, jobs, deportations, and the nation's rejuvenation. The first 100 days and beyond. All the news you need and no liberal gibberish. It's the perfect way to start your day. Sign up for the TNN newsletter. Do it today. TrumpNationNews.com. TrumpNationNews.com. Part of the John Fredericks Media Network. The Katz and Cosby Show.
It's the top news of the day.
There's a number of Democratic members of Congress who are pushing for impeachment. They're not just going after the president, going after RFK Jr. and others.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
Judge Weinberg.
Listen, it's the most important midterm in our lifetime.
Katz and Cosby, weekdays 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the stations of the John Fredericks Media Network.
This is a big deal.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. As Christmas approaches, I want to pause and celebrate the true reason we gather together, Jesus Christ. His birth changed everything, and in my own life, he's carried my family through storms and reminded us that his love never fails. My prayer to you and your family is that you feel the love of a Savior who came for you. Merry Christmas, and may the peace of Christ fill your home all season long.
Paid for by Mark Pody for Senate, Candace Graham Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Well, it's a bit of a teaser we've got here, and we look forward to it. Tom Pappert. So, Tom, Dow Prize winner for your great reporting on Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We've documented, of course, all of the legal shenanigans designed by the wealthy leftists to basically stop President Trump's long-term plan to deport illegal aliens. That's all this is about, really. They've spent how much? Over $12 million, $13 million to keep Kilmar Abrego Garcia here in the United States. There's a real comparison between the due process and the excessive due process which the illegal alien and alleged human smuggler has received, with the lack of due process and the violation of really his rights that Derek Chauvin, who was convicted of murdering George Floyd, has received. Give us a little preview of this series that you're going to be doing here at the Tennessee Star.
It's very interesting, Michael, because, of course, the cases are very different on the surface. One is an American citizen, a police officer, who is being accused with second-degree murder, and I think deprivation of rights and a million other things before the conviction occurred. And another is an illegal immigrant from El Salvador, entered the country illegally, and is being accused merely of human smuggling, a little bit different than murder. And yet the concern for due process exists seemingly for one and not the other. Derek Chauvin's case is almost a mirror image of the due process afforded to Abrego Garcia that was denied to Derek Chauvin. For example, it can be as simple as the pretrial publicity, where you had prosecutors ignore the fact that every Democrat in the country was smearing Derek Chauvin on the national news. They were going and attending protests. Mad Maxine Waters was actually attending the protests against Derek Chauvin outside the courthouse at one point. Well, the judge wasn't interested in that. It didn't matter if the jury could be prejudiced. In fact, the judge didn't even grant Chauvin's request to sequester the jury until the deliberations were started. That means that the jury was going home and watching television every night as the protests outside the courthouse necessitated massive amounts of security so they weren't torn apart by the mad protesters. And by the way, midway through the trial, another BLM-type murder occurred. This jury still wasn't sequestered until deliberations began. And again, contrast this with Abrego Garcia, who has Judge Waverly Crenshaw issuing decision after decision admonishing the U.S. Department of Justice that it has to get its hands around Kristi Noem. It has to keep Kristi Noem from tweeting anything else about Abrego Garcia. And the same goes for Pam Bondi. And we want to interview Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche just to make sure he's not going to run his mouth on Fox News either. But then you also have sort of the appeals tract of Chauvin, where he's filed, I believe, 3 different appeals. They've all gone, frankly, nowhere. He's now requesting a new trial. This is all completely above board, by the way, and he, in my estimation, is highlighting really big problems with his case. But again, contrast this to Abrego Garcia, who his immigration case ended in 2019. And thanks to Judge Paula Zinnes, we've talked about her a lot on this show, well, it's spontaneously been reopened. He didn't file his appeal within the statutory 30-day limit. He didn't follow any proper procedure, frankly. And yet, because the courts wanted to give him more due process, boy, has he gotten it. So it will be very interesting as we sort of compare and contrast exactly how, in my opinion, railroaded Derek Chauvin was as an American citizen, while the courts, the media, and everyone else involved bends over backwards to roll out the red carpet for Abrego Garcia when it comes to legal representation. One thing I didn't even mention, of course, Michael, is the massive difference in lawyers. Abrego Garcia has 4 law firms representing him. 2 of them are considered some of the major law firms in this country, Quinn Emanuel and Hecker Fink. Hecker Fink represents former President Joe Biden right now. Whereas Derek Chauvin had a police union representing him in 2020. He had about $1 million. That's it. And his appeals have all been handled by different lawyers, and it seems to me smaller and smaller law firms.
Yeah, also, to some of the facts to look at. Number one, the coroner's first report said that Floyd did not die of asphyxia, but then that information was not properly presented in the trial. That's point number one. Point number two, the superiors from the police department claimed that the procedure he used when Floyd was on the ground was not part of the training. There are 35 people that said, yeah, it was part of the training. So that was a bit of a setup. Also, new information. Apparently, like 7 weeks before this happened, Floyd had another overdose, an earlier overdose, and literally died for a bit before he was brought back to life. And none of that reached the jury, apparently. So, Tom, a lot to cover. And look, this is the beginning of a series. We're going to do for the Derek Chauvin trial what we've done for the Kilmar Abrego Garcia story. And you, Dow Prize winner that you are going to get to the bottom of it. Tom, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Michael. It's always a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right. When we come back, Tom Zalestowski will talk a little bit about the Susie Wiles interview, the affordability address of President Trump tonight, and more on that FBI telling the DOJ no probable cause when they raided Mar-a-Lago. Back after this.
Ponder this. Most of us are familiar with social media influencers. You know, people that claim expertise on some probably irrelevant topic. Many hours are wasted following people online who do not add an ounce of value to our lives. There is only one influencer who matters, and you should be following him and his messages every day. He holds the keys to our peace. He shows us how to live lives of meaning. He is there to help us carry our daily crosses. He is Jesus Christ, and he is the influencer extraordinaire. Are you one of his followers? Or are you wasting time with useless information that will not bring peace and love to your life? Ask the Lord each day to provide you with spiritual influence that will change your life forever. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Is your fur maybe looking a bit rough? Transform them from shaggy to snazzy with Befur and After Pet Grooming in Marietta, Georgia. Their top-notch groomers pamper your pups with baths, custom cuts, and nail trims that'll have them strutting like show dogs. From mobile grooming vans to their cozy salon, they'll make your pet spa day a tail-wagging blast. Book now at BefurandAfterGrooming.com. Befur and After, where pets go from grr to glamorous.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter.
This is WJFN, Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFV, Portsmouth.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Former Justice Department Special Counsel Trump prosecutor Jack Smith being deposed today by House Republicans behind closed doors. The House Judiciary Committee subpoenaed Smith to provide testimony as well as documents. He had offered to testify in public, an offer the Republicans declined. President Trump continues to tighten the screws on Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro.
President Trump says he's ordering a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers into Venezuela. The move comes after U.S. forces last week seized an oil tanker off Venezuela's coast. In a social media post, Trump alleges the government of Nicolas Maduro is using oil to fund drug trafficking and other crimes, saying Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada ever assembled in the history of South America. Trump vowed it will only get bigger until the country gives the U.S. oil, land, and assets he maintains they previously stole from us. Venezuela's government has accused Trump of violating international law, free trade, and the principle of free navigation with what it calls a reckless and grave threat. Ben Thomas, Washington.
At a White House Hanukkah reception, the president referred to the horror of the Bondi Beach massacre, offering condolences to the Australian people.
And especially all those affected by the horrific and anti-Semitic terrorist attack, and that's exactly what it is, anti-Semitic. that took place on a Hanukkah celebration in Sydney. What a terrible, terrible thing.
Some of the 15 people who died in the attack have now been laid to rest. 4 days later, and police continue the hunt for the Brown University gunman, the public being urged to take a look at the latest, clearer images of that suspect. On Wall Street, the Dow down 89 points, NASDAQ off 252. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Got any gadgets? Get online protection. NordVPN has a ho-ho holiday deal just for you. Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro feature helps you avoid malware, phishing, and annoying trackers. Just a few taps and you're safer online. Let your gadgets sparkle with online security. Go to NordVPN.com and get up to 77% off plus 3 extra months. NordVPN.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
A U.S. refugee processing center in Johannesburg, target of a raid.
South African authorities say a center processing applications for the U.S. refugee program has been raided by immigration and law enforcement officers, and 7 Kenyan nationals have been arrested for working there illegally. The center was processing applications by white South Africans under the Trump administration's new program, giving them priority for refugee status in the U.S. The raid's bound to increase tensions between the two countries. Donald Trump has been especially critical of the South African government since he returned to office, claiming the country is violently persecuting its white Afrikaner minority and also pursuing an anti-American foreign policy. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Employees of the Louvre in Paris have voted to extend a strike. It's disrupted operations at the world's most visited museum. News and analysis, townhall.com. Well, it's a real head-scratcher, leaving one to wonder why people do some of the terrible things they do.
A woman has been arrested for allegedly pushing razor blades into loaves of bread at 2 Walmart stores in Biloxi, Mississippi. The 33-year-old woman now facing charges of attempted mayhem. Customers reported finding razor blades in several loaves December 5th and 8th. Walmart has removed and inspected affected products and is fully cooperating with law enforcement. Fortunately, no one was injured. Jason Walker reporting.
The head of the Federal Aviation Administration says he'll not forget the 67 people who died when an airliner collided with an Army helicopter over Washington, D.C. back in January. Brian Bedford vows not to allow operations in the airspace over the Capitol to revert back to the way they were before the crash. More on these stories, townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are joined on our Zoom newsmaker line by our very good friend, Tom Zalestowski, the founder of the We the People Convention in Ohio. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Michael. Glad to be with you again.
Tom, I think you've jumped into this with an article about the FBI memo to the Biden-era Department of Justice, Merrick Garland, saying, you know, you guys don't have any probable cause to raid Mar-a-Lago. And yet they did. Your thoughts on that, Tom Zalestowski?
Well, Michael, I mean, people say, well, why are we always looking backward? And why can't we just move on with things? And this is a perfect example of why we can't move on until these people are brought to justice. This is it is probably the worst thing that has ever happened in American history as far as the government being turned on the people. And this story, I think, deserves a lot of discussion and a lot of credit. I guess Jack Smith is testifying behind closed doors right now on Capitol Hill, And man, I'd like him to testify so I can hear what he has to say, because they got a lot of explaining to do.
You got some explaining to do there, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so probable cause is required before a warrant is signed by a judge. There was no probable cause, the FBI told Merrick Garland and Jack Smith. Now, of course, Jack Smith was appointed by Merrick Garland to be the special prosecutor in this case. Both Merrick Garland and Jack Smith got this memo from the FBI. You don't have probable cause. Why did they ignore it, in your view?
Oh, without any doubt, because this was the weaponization of government. This was their effort to end us. You and I, the Tea Party movement, MAGA, and Trump, all in one fell swoop. That's what this was. It was the extermination of any political opposition using the full force of the most powerful law agency in the world, the Department of Injustice. And yeah, I'm outraged. Everyone listening to this and watching should be outraged. These people need to be brought to justice. And I think that's our frustration, is that we got a lot of talk, we got a lot of evidence, we got a lot of words. We just don't have arrests.
So, okay, let me run this by you. Earlier in the program, our friend Phil Klein, former Attorney General for the state of Kansas, currently a professor of law at Liberty University, said, look, what we have to do is to make sure the United States does not turn into a banana republic. I'm paraphrasing what he said. Mm-hmm. And to do that, we've got to make sure that this kind of weaponization of our legal system never happens again. And we've got to get to the truth. Now, he made a suggestion that the key guy to look at here, the guy we've got that would be worthy of prosecution, is actually former Attorney General Merrick Garland. And he said, okay, to get the truth out, what we ought to do, what President Trump ought to do, is to pardon for any crimes up to this point Jack Smith and others. By the way, my words, he said Jack Smith is a hack. I said, well, maybe his name ought to be Hacksmith, right? What do you think of that idea? Pardon Smith so you can basically get at Garland.
See, I'm not for that. I'm not for that at all. I go back to Andy McCabe. Do you remember what Andy McCabe said when he was being fired from the FBI and they were holding $2 million of his pension, but then they gave it to him? He said, if they come after me, I'll burn this place to the ground. That's the guy that I want to charge and make go state's evidence. That's what we need to do, is get some of these weasels who will, have obviously no personal integrity because they did what they did. So let's get them to start pointing the fingers. But pardoning people, no way, especially Jack Smith.
Yeah.
Jack Smith is a traitor. He should suffer the consequences that are legally available under treason.
Yeah, it's interesting because you could certainly make that argument, Tom, and I'm very sympathetic to you. Here is my concern. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say something goes haywire and a Democrat is elected president in 2028. I think the Justice Department in January 29 will go crazy, and every conservative of any level of note will be prosecuted for some made-up crime and put in prison. That's what I'm worried about. Are you worried about that, Tom?
I sure as hell was last year. Weren't you? Right? Last year, man. You and I were right there. You and I are not having this conversation today if we lost last year's election, because what you just said would have already happened. You and I would be in prison probably for life on made-up crimes. Folks, that's not me just, speculating or whatever. I'm telling you that's a fact. That was their intent, and this Mar-a-Lago raid document proves it. They're not limited by the law. So my question is, if they're not limited by the law, can we at least enforce the law? We got all these, people like, let's just, you can't really go after these people that, broke the law going after you. Hell yeah, we can. And hell yeah, we should. And my question is, why haven't we?
Yeah. Well, again, the left is playing, when they have power, they play smash mouth. And interestingly enough, there's a lot about rule of law and protection of the rights of the individual. We've been documenting this, Tom. They've been at this for over half a century, as we've documented in our documentary and soon to be ebook, by the way, How the Deep State Took Down Richard Nixon. Our 90-minute documentary explains that, but we go in greater detail in that documentary in the ebook. We're finishing it up. And by the way, people who want to buy this, the documentary and the ebook, just go to michaelpatrickleahy.com. On the upper right menu, you can see ebook bundle. Click on the ebook bundle, and then you can buy and get access immediately to the 90-minute documentary without commercials. Right? It's available for free on Rumble, but they got all sorts of commercials on it. I think 50,000 people have seen it. But
good.
We've added. I've been talking with Jeff Shepard about this, who was the White House attorney, who's basically blown open all of the myths about Watergate. And we document in detail 12 due process violations way back then against Richard Nixon and the Watergate defendants. Example, this judicial code of conduct that prohibits ex parte meetings that are secret. There are innumerable examples where they violated that. This is the standard that the left has. They think they're above the law and they can do whatever they want. And they've been doing it for over half a century. Now, Donald Trump stopped it ultimately because he's Donald Trump and he's a billionaire. But if you don't have enough money to defend yourself, you're going to end up like Derek Chauvin in prison or Tina Peters in prison, particularly if you live in a blue state. Your thoughts on that, Tom Zalestowski?
Well, Michael, we're at war. That's not a saying. This isn't about politics. They're killing our people. They just killed National Guardsmen. They're attacking ICE. They shot Charlie Kirk. This is not a game. They're playing for keeps, and the goal is to overthrow the United States.
Tom,
we need to play for keeps and do the same thing.
Exactly. Stick around. I got a couple things to talk about. A little bit about the Susie Wiles hit piece on Vanity Fair. But then I want to get into what the president's going to talk about tonight in his address to the nation. Back with Tom Zalestowski after this.
Ponder this, Judgment Day, the day you go before the Lord face to face. For many of us, this day seems like a long way away, and we are told that all of us will be in a better place when we die. What many of us forget is that our God is a God of justice. On Judgment Day, you will stand before the Lord and account for all of your thoughts, words, and actions during your time here on earth. You might be thinking that you're not such a bad dude, you didn't kill anyone, and you went to church every now and then, so you've earned your ticket to heaven. Hold that thought, as the Lord has told us what we need to get through those pearly gates. We must believe in Him, be baptized, follow Him by keeping His commandments, love Him, and love our friends and enemies. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you possess, how many awards or accolades are on your resume, or how much money you have, nor how high you are on the ladder of success. Judgment Day is real, and you are not judged by a jury of your peers. Prepare each day for Judgment Day. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Is your pet ready for some pawsome fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at CreeksidePetHotel.com. or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's the top news of the day.
There's a number of Democratic members of Congress who are pushing for impeachment, not just going after the president, going after RFK Jr. and others.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
Judge Weinberg.
Listen, it's the most important midterm in our lifetime.
Cats and Cosby, weekdays 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the stations of the John Frederick Media Network.
This is a big deal.
The math is simple. Every dollar we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight violent crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste and frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree this is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervision. Visit safersupervision.com to help. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
What happens in Virginia doesn't stay in Virginia. It influences policy and policymakers nationwide. The VirginiaStar.com shines a light on the issues in VA that become issues for the USA, with insightful commentary that gets to the fact of the matter. The VirginiaStar.com is your source of wisdom and truth, locally, statewide, and nationally. Log on today and every day. The VirginiaStar.com. The VirginiaStar.com.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This Christmas, my heart is filled with gratitude. The birth of Jesus Christ changed the world forever, bringing hope, peace, and a Savior who walks with us through every season. I'm grateful for this community, for your kindness, and for the chance to serve alongside you in meaningful ways throughout the year ahead. From my family to yours, Merry Christmas. May God bless you, your home. Happy birthday, Jesus.
Paid for by Mark Pody for Senate, Candace Graham Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Tom Zalstowski with the We the People Convention joins us. Let's talk about this Susie Wiles interview, by the way. So, Vanity Fair, a leftist organization, apparently got extensive access to Susie Wiles, and she gave them interviews over a period of time. And they've tried to kind of manipulate what she said, and it's all kind of ridiculous. J.D. Vance said, yeah, I'm a conspiracy theorist. It's stupid to put a mask on a 3-year-old, right? And so I thought he was very good coming out on that. Susie Wiles has criticized their claim that, well, Trump said he has an alcoholic personality. Well, they manipulated it and said he's got a certain kind of personality. He said that. The reason he doesn't drink is because he has an obsessive kind of, I wouldn't say obsessive, but, a very focused kind of personality. Okay, so this is a bit of a predictable left-wing hit piece, but Tom, why did Susie Wiles agree to such an interview?
Well, I not just her. Did you see the picture? They got access to every one of his staff. And Michael, the thing that's really bad, that's kind of a side story, did you see the photographs that they took of every staffer that's like super up close that makes them all look so ugly?
Right.
And they put that on their Instagram account? It's a hit piece, totally. And I'm with you. I think we have way more important things for J.D. Vance and Susie Wiles and Stephen Miller and all those guys to be doing than spending hours talking to a left-wing rag like Vanity Fair. What are they doing?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's fair to blame a snake for being a snake.
Right.
I mean, they're snakes. Why do you invite them along? Look, this is a bit of
no idea.
Also, Vanity Fair, everybody knows they're left-wing jerks and will twist things. Why do you grant them access? Who knows? I mean, look, my friend Stephen K. Bannon will talk to the left all the time. Usually, though, I mean, he's totally on top of it. And he points out their ludicrousy. When you give left access and then you allow them to edit, it's predictable how they're going to be. Now,
absolutely.
You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to ask Susie Wiles if I can have an exclusive interview with her. What do you think?
I hope she'd grant it to you. That's who she should be talking to.
Look, Susie, if you're going to do an exclusive interview, you should be talking to me and the Tennessee Star.
I agree. I agree. Again, it's the messaging war, right? And I know, and I give the Trump people lots of credit because they go on the Sunday shows on ABC and CBS and all that, and they debate and they do a good job. But the key thing is those are usually live, Michael, where you can control and you can debate, and they're not really editing, and that's what they've got to stick with. But in the meantime, actions speak louder than words, and that's why I'm a little concerned about President Trump's speech tonight.
Well, why are you concerned about a speech tonight? Anyways, well, it's a kerfuffle. It was a predictable hit piece. Susie, don't do any more interviews. And, what's weird about this is she has basically, shied away from any kind of publicity. But all of a sudden she does this thing. She must have talked to the president about it, and he must have said, yeah, go ahead and do it. And I don't know. It's as if you would expect anything else from the snakes at Vanity Fair. Okay, so tonight, what is it that you're concerned about in terms of the president's address tonight, Tom?
Michael, I was really glad to see the president go to Pennsylvania and do a rally. And that I understand from Susie Wiles that that's going to become, the thing that they're going to be doing a whole bunch of these. And then J.D. Vance went out. And that was really good. But, there's preaching to the choir, where he's talking about the things that you and I already get. I mean, his support among Republicans and MAGA people is still really, really high. Mm-hmm. His support among the others are not, because they don't listen to his speeches. They do kind of listen to the left sometimes, but mostly they're just seeing in their lives that, things are still pretty tight and they're waiting for some change. And so I don't know if President Trump is going to make much headway tonight, because they're talking it's going to be like a campaign style speech. And I would rather have him do a more substantive speech, like, what the heck are we doing blockading Venezuela? Are we at war with Venezuela? There's some serious stuff going on that maybe we should talk about that I think the American people would lock into a little more tightly.
Yeah, the report is that it's going to be all about affordability. To me, actually, the big news, I think it's probably the right thing for him to do. The Trump doctrine now, reinvigorating the Monroe Doctrine. Nicolas Maduro, by reports, is a narco-terrorist, right? Running a narco-terrorist organization. And there are, the oil coming out of Venezuela has been sanctioned. Shouldn't be coming out. He's going to he's saying he's blockading any oil tankers coming out of Venezuela. And yesterday, he declared that Venezuela, the regime of Maduro, is a terrorist organization. That's all. To me, I think that's defensible. That would be. I agree. You should make that. Really should be the point of the addressing the nation, right? And basically saying,
Michael, but it's even more. Here's the thing that I think he really needs to do, because he's got to help the American people see that this is really about Iran and China. That's what this is really about. And even Russia has been in Venezuela.
Right.
This is part of his global war to keep China in check.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not getting any of that. He could explain that tonight, and people would say, you know what? This is the first guy who's actually fighting back about the people, against the people who are killing our children for the last 15, 20 years with drugs and with terrorism. And so I wish he would talk about that. That's a national address. Not, hey,
agree.
I'm going to make the economy better.
Yeah, I completely agree that the issue ought to be, he ought to explain, and it is unusual to declare the regime controlling a sovereign country a terrorist organization. That's unusual.
Oh, yeah.
It's in this instance justified. That, see, I agree with you completely. That ought to be the topic. Why have I called Maduro's group a terrorist organization? And why are we blockading oil coming out of Venezuela?
And what about his statement about we want them to give back all the things they've stolen from us and the oil and things like that? And I'm kind of going, whoa, what does that mean? Like, what is it that we want Venezuela to give back to us? I'd like an answer to that question.
Yeah, well, and I think he can make a very good case. I do think that this whole, if it's about affordability, affordability. Well, it's a Democrat talking point that has had some success. I think there is a reason to have an argument on that and to show how Trump's policies will lead to lower costs. But I'm with you. That's like, go on the campaign trail and do that. Don't do that from the Oval Office. That would be my view.
And his team has done a good job. Bessent has done a good job talking about it. Litnick and those guys. Let them keep doing that. We're getting it. It's real simple, Michael. You can say whatever you want, but until those tax returns come in February, March, and April, until your paycheck is all of right bigger than it was starting January 1st, because you didn't even realize you were getting less withheld because of the big, beautiful bill, until those new jobs start to land, they're not going to listen. But boy, when that stuff happens, they're going to be surprised, and Trump's approval ratings are going to go up.
Yeah. Why does this matter? Well, I'll tell you exactly why it matters. If the Democrats win the majority in the House of Representatives, everything stops, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the election in November.
Can't happen.
Well,
cannot happen.
The issue is in doubt, right? And so everything needs to be geared towards winning those midterms, because if they do that, then the Trump agenda can continue. But if they don't do that, I can promise you it'll be impeach, impeach, impeach. How many times, what's the over-under on how many times the House will impeach him? 15? 20?
That's
every day?
Who knows? And basically, Michael, let's just face it. If we don't hold the House, our nation is done. It's that simple. We cannot recover from this if they get the House back.
I can't disagree with you, Tom. Tom Zalstowski with the We the People Convention. Thank you so much for joining us today. Excellent analysis.
Merry Christmas to all you listeners and viewers and things. Hope to talk to you again in the new year. Or
probably
maybe
in the
before.
new year. You bet. Tom, thanks.
Okay. Great.
When we come back, more craziness from the left. Buckle up. Here it comes.
Attorney General Miyares and John Fredericks talk about skill games.
They're unregulated slot machines.
They pop up in 7-Elevens in every corner of Virginia.
The General Assembly has spoken on this.
Skill games.
These things are illegal.
It's the Wild Wild West. Fights break out. Robberies increase.
Skill games.
They prey on the less fortunate.
I say it's a tax on the poor.
They're breaking the law.
My job is to enforce the law. These machines are not allowed.
Enforce the law and get them out of there.
When you see skill games, call the local sheriff.
These things are illegal.
Paid for by Churchill Downs.
If you've tried everything for cheek redness or breakouts and nothing works, it's not your fault. The real cause might be deeper than you think. Introducing Clear Skin Ivermectin Cream from the Wellness Company, a prescription-strength, dermatologist-developed formula that helps reduce inflammation, balance bacteria, and restore your skin's natural glow. This triple-action cream combines 3 medical-grade ingredients for powerful results. Azelaic acid to unclog pores and fade dark spots, metronidazole to control bacterial imbalance and redness, and ivermectin to calm irritation skin and eliminate skin parasites that contribute to rosacea and acne. Together, these ingredients work to reduce bumps, swelling, and redness while supporting smoother, healthier, and more radiant skin over time. Formulated and compounded in the United States, this FDA-approved cream is trusted by doctors for visible and lasting results. Experience clear, confident skin with the Wellness Company's Clear Skin Ivermectin Cream. U.S. residents only. Head to twc.health/Godzilla and use code Godzilla to save $20 off, plus free shipping.
Trump 2.0 is in full effect. How do you keep up with all the action? I'll tell you. TrumpNationNews.com is your inside source for the inside scoop. Manufacturing, jobs, deportations, and the nation's rejuvenation. The first 100 days and beyond. All the news you need and no liberal gibberish. It's the perfect way to start your day. Sign up for the TNN newsletter. Do it today. TrumpNationNews.com. TrumpNationNews.com. Part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Did you ever stop and think, why do the wealthy pay less taxes than we do? One reason, they take full advantage of the IRS tax code. Today's tax code is over 2 million pages. Who can read that? Remember the 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton? When asked why he doesn't pay more taxes, President Trump had the perfect answer. He said, if you don't like the current tax code, change it. I follow the very laws that you wrote. That's where Julio Gonzalez and his company, Tax Engineered Services, comes in. Julio's team looks at your taxes after they're done, but before you file them with the IRS. He doesn't get between you and your accountant. He reviews your taxes, makes his recommendations, and only gets 5 to 10% of what he saved you. No money up front, no cost. It's tax literacy for MAGA. He also sees what grants you may qualify for. For more information, text ETS to the number 26786. That's ETS to 26786. Text now.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall & Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall & Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Okay, so I want to talk about this killing of 2 Brown University students and the injuring of another 9 by an unknown assailant at Brown University. And I guess it happened to a Saturday. There was a exam going on. Physics, I guess it was. And the professor, it's a prep for an exam. Teaching assistant was there. And this gunman walks in and starts shooting and murders 2 students. One of them was apparently a Muslim kid who wanted to be a doctor. And another was a 19-year-old woman, a young girl from Alabama. Her name, Ella Cook, and she was a sophomore at Brown University. She was concentrating in French and mathematics/economics. That was her background. But in addition to that, there are reports that she was targeted because she was a vice president of the Republican Club at Brown University. Now, apparently, according to sources, she was very well known on campus. At first, I thought, well, was she a freshman? No, a sophomore would have had enough time to be well known on campus. And to be Brown University is about as far left as you can get in terms of the Ivy League. And it's gone, because I'm an Ivy League grad from Harvard way back when. In my misbegotten youth, I was literally an officer of the Democrat Party, the Democrat Club at Harvard. And, we did, I recall that in our work, we did have some visibility. We did a mock convention in the 76 election. And basically it ended with no endorsement. But it got some visibility. So if you're going to be a Republican at an Ivy League school, you're going to be visible. And if you say anything, you're going to be visible. And she was. Now, it's interesting because there are unconfirmed reports that she was targeted by the shooter. And remember, purportedly, the shooter yelled, Allahu Akbar, which is a classic Islamist, Arabic chant of God is great, which is, you hear all the Islamist terrorists will say that before they go off and shoot a whole bunch of people, right? Now, law enforcement is not at all addressing that claim. But apparently there were a number of students there who believed she was targeted and that, there's also a report that the teaching assistant was not targeted, but could have been. We don't have any official statement to confirm the targeting of Ella Cook, but the speculation on it is rampant. Our friends at 1819 News down in Alabama cited a statement from the national head of college Republicans to the effect that she was targeted. I don't know how he would have the specific details of it, but he's not the only person who said that. Apparently there's a report that her family in Alabama was told she was targeted. Well, who told her that? Did a witness tell her that? Did the police tell her that? If this is true, I'm going to follow this up. If this is true, this would be an area of police inquiry. Now, Senator Tommy Tuberville from Alabama said he believes she was targeted. Clip 7.
Do you know anything about what happened at Brown University? How do we fix a situation like this?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Benny. And I just got out of a classified hearing with all 100 senators about the drug boats that are being blown up in the Caribbean on the Eastern Pacific. And it just shocks me that how the Democrats want to protect more of the drug dealers than they do Americans. Well, it carries over to what we're talking about here. One of the individuals that was killed at Brown University was from Mountain Brook, Alabama, a young lady named Ella Cook. She was a Republican leader in the Republican Party at Brown University. You can't tell me she wasn't targeted. I would hate to miss that opportunity.
Okay, so let me just stop for a minute. Like Senator Tuberville. But saying, you can't tell me she wasn't targeted, that's not evidence, that's speculation. This is speculation worth investigating. But I wouldn't say that unless I had some further evidence. Now, Jack Posobiec made the same statement. Let's see what Jack Posobiec said about this.
Not something where he was walking around on campus firing indiscriminately, which unfortunately we have seen many times in these mass shootings. This was targeted. This was clearly targeted, and we can see it in the choice of the targets. It was not indiscriminate, spares the TA, and then targets Ella Cook, this young girl. So as an investigation, that's something you have to look at. And Steve, quite frankly, you got to go Frank Rizzo. You got to go full Frank Rizzo when it comes to this. When you have a situation like this, you got to go to every single one of these subversive groups that are on campus, and you should be rounding them up and pulling them all in for questioning and saying, "Dude, you know this guy?"
Okay, so let me kind of follow up on this with Jack. I think the best way to approach this is to look at a line of inquiry, right? So it is the fact that Ella Cook, and what a tragedy, 19-year-old girl had the great future in front of her. It is, I think, something to look at that one of the two murder victims was a prominent Republican on campus. And I just could tell you, in a left-wing campus like that, maybe 2-3% of the kids are prominently conservative Republican? This is worth looking into. But I think here's the weird part about this, or the troubling part. They're not even looking. The police department is apparently, they're trying not to look into it. That's what it looks like to me, because there are credible reports now that this guy was saying, Allahu Akbar, right? And that's, an Islamist statement. And she is a prominent conservative. So what should the line of inquiry be? Well, obviously, what you should do is, okay, you've got to look at every event where Ella Cook was there as a student. I mean, she's been there for a year and a half. What were those events? What statements did she make? Who on campus was critical of her, publicly critical? You've got to investigate that. I don't have any confidence that they're doing it. And then also, back to being transparent about this, first thing you've got to do is every witness statement on what the shooter said needs to be made public. Now, the police chief there, the guy who can't speak English, is saying, well, we don't want to put that out because some people said this and some people said that. It doesn't matter. What did they say? I think what they said, my guess would be they said, Allahu Akbar, right? Okay, if that's the case, then this was politically motivated. And if it was politically motivated, and one of the victims in this class, I mean, there were a whole bunch of people there, but one of the dead victims, only 2 dead victims, one of them is a prominent campus conservative. That's what you call a clue, right? And you need to investigate that. You don't need to be, it looks to me like, what are these guys doing? In the Providence Police, the Rhode Island Attorney General, they're not following investigative procedure. They're just saying, well, we can't look at that. This is the speculation. No. You've got to be interviewing. What you should say is, well, look, the investigation should be proceeding as follows. Several students said, the shooter said, Allahu Akbar. This suggests to us that it is ideologically oriented. And it is of concern that one of the victims was a prominent conservative and supporter of Donald Trump. I'm assuming that's the case if she's at the party there, or a VP of the local party. Okay, so then you've got to say, we are actually talking to and interviewing. They should be interviewing everybody on campus who has publicly criticized or privately criticized Ella Cook for her political views. They're not doing that, apparently. This is a major flaw in the investigation. That's exactly the area that I'd be in. Now, there's one other thing to bring out here. This was a mass shooting at a school, okay? Now, when that happens, historically, as it happened in the Covenant case, as it happened back in the Columbine case, the local police are involved in the investigation, but the FBI takes it over and is involved in it as well. We know that from the Covenant shooting case here in Nashville and multiple others. In this instance, I'm not seeing that level of FBI involvement. I don't know why that is, but it should be the case. And all of these documents, they should, if they do in Providence what they did in Nashville in the Covenant killing, all of these documents, all of the evidence should be made available and should be part of the FBI. I mean, we know this because this was our lawsuit, right, to get the documents, which we got ultimately from the FBI. And here in the state, we still haven't gotten the documents from Metro Nashville Police Department. But there's documents, there's evidence, there's testimony. All that should ultimately be made available to the public. I think it's their plan not to do that, which is a big, big problem in my view. So we'll see how this goes out. What level of confidence do I have that this particular investigation is being conducted properly? About as close to zero as you can get. Because there are obvious things that they're not doing. When we come back, we'll talk about the political environment in Washington, D.C., and a couple other things. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, back after this.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
Is your pet ready for some pawsome fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at CreeksidePetHotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
What happens in Virginia doesn't stay in Virginia. It influences policy and policymakers nationwide. The VirginiaStar.com shines a light on the issues in VA that become issues for the USA, with insightful commentary that gets to the fact of the matter. The VirginiaStar.com is your source of wisdom and truth, locally, statewide, and nationally. Log on today and every day. The VirginiaStar.com. The VirginiaStar.com.
Let's be real. Losing weight isn't just about looking good. It's about taking back control of your overall health. 42% of adults in America are classified as obese, and obesity is directly linked to severe health issues. If you've tried diets and different workouts with no success, it's not your fault. Big Food and Big Pharma have rigged the system against you with contradicting information, leaving you confused. But there's good news. The Wellness Company just launched Drop, a GLP-1 peptide oral drop formula developed by their chief medical board, specifically designed to support your metabolism, curb cravings, and help you shed weight. That's right. No injections, no risk of the severe side effects we're seeing with the Ozempic. Start your weight loss journey today and get $100 off, plus free shipping. Go to twc.health/Godzilla and use promo code Godzilla100. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Promo code Godzilla100. Take action today for a healthier tomorrow.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. As Christmas approaches, I want to pause and celebrate the true reason we gather together, Jesus Christ. His birth changed everything, and in my own life, he's carried my family through storms and reminded us that his love never fails. My prayer to you and your family is that you feel the love of a Savior who came for you. Merry Christmas, and may the peace of Christ fill your home all season long.
Paid for by Mark Pody for Senate, Candace Graham, Treasurer.
Hey, Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We want to wrap up our discussion of the poor police investigation into the Brown University shootings in Providence, Rhode Island. Leonard from Georgia wants to weigh in. Good morning, Leonard.
Good morning, Michael Patrick, and Merry Christmas to you and to all your staff. But here's what I wanted to say, Michael. There's always a common denominator, total catastrophic failure by our law enforcement agencies, local, FBI, whatever. You go back to the D.C. sniper. You remember him?
Oh, yeah, remember that.
Yeah, what a freaking catastrophic failure all around. And it seems like we just never get to the bottom of anything, Michael.
I don't disagree. It seems to me they're intentionally not trying to get to the bottom of this.
Yep. It makes me sick when I started hearing, and listening to us. I gotta call my buddy Michael and then say Merry Christmas, because I probably won't be able to talk to you till after that New Year.
So one of the things that is troubling to me is that the police chief, yeah, and you can relate to this, I think, Leonard. The police chief of Providence is a fellow by the name of Oscar Perez. He was born in Medellin, Colombia. He immigrated to the United States at age 13 with his family, and he studied in Providence. He joined the police department there in '94 as a patrol officer. He's got he's got college degrees, etc. He was appointed as the police chief in February of 2023. I got to tell you, Leonard, and you've got some insight since you've got a Cuban refugee family, right?
Right. I do.
This guy doesn't seem to be a very good police chief, it seems to me. First, it's hard for me to understand him. But secondly, when he talks, it doesn't sound like he's a police officer. Your thoughts on that?
Nah. He sounds like a clown to me. Incompetence all the way around. I know people that are really good at their jobs, and most of my friends are police officers, lieutenants, captains, and some of them are really good at what they do, and some of them just plain old suck. And this guy just plain old sucks.
Can we quote you on that, Leonard?
Absolutely, Michael. Merry Christmas to you, buddy.
All right, Leonard, thank you for calling in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
The quote from Leonard, the police chief at in Providence, Rhode Island, absolutely sucks at his job. Okay. We've got a couple of things we want to hit here before we go on. Actually, let's talk about the incalcitrant Democrats. Yeah, we got a few minutes here before the break. And remember now, I think President Trump and 47 and Sean Farash, the best Trump impersonator in the world, should be here in studio. And then we've got a little bit later in the hour an interview with Marsha Blackburn. But let's take a look at this. Chuck Schumer, he was asked, well, now this extension of the government continues till the end of January. Are you going to shut us down again in January? Here's what he had to say. Let's play this clip right now, clip 4.
Yes. You mentioned January 1st. There's also a January 30th deadline to fund the government. Do you have any expectation that Democrats might tie that to ACA like you did last time to try to get a result?
Look, as I said, it's on the Republicans that we haven't had health care done. After January 1st, it's very, very hard to put it back in the bottle. Go ahead, Manu. I would get to you.
I appreciate it. Will you then vote to shut the government down on January 30th if you don't get an extension of ACA subsidies?
As I said, the bottom line is very simple, and that is that the way to solve this problem, because the toothpaste is already out of the tube, is get it done by January 1st. The Republicans, if they care so much and feel the heat, they should make sure they pass our bill. Yes.
Okay, so basically what's he threatening here? First, Obamacare is a disaster. And these temporary, subsidies were put in COVID, right? But now the Democrats, because Obamacare is a disaster, they want to continue to add the subsidies. Where do they go? They go to the insurance companies, not to people who are having health concerns, obviously. And it's just making a bad healthcare system worse. That's the deal. But politically, because of the affordability issue that's come up, the Democrats think this is a winning issue for them. So I have a prediction. Yeah, they're going to shut down the government again. And the issue is going to be this. You ready? They're going to want to extend these stupid subsidies for 3 years. And the Republicans are going to say, we'll extend them for 1 year, but you got to do all these reforms. That's really what this is all about. And the Democrats are going to play hardball. They think, so just be ready, there's another shutdown coming. And they think that they've got the advantage on the affordability issue. So there you go. I wonder if we're going to hear at all. Oh, there we go. There's a helicopter ready to land on our studio roof here in Middle Tennessee. We'll hear from the president and from Sean Farash after the break. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, back after this.
Let's face it, losing weight isn't just about looks. It's about taking back control of your health. Tired of confusing diets and injections with harsh side effects? Meet Drop, an oral GLP-1 peptide from the Wellness Company that boosts metabolism, curbs cravings, and helps you burn fat. No needles needed. Just mix it with water and right now, get $100 off and free shipping at twc.health/Godzilla and use the promo code Godzilla100 to save $100. Drop the weight. Take back your life.
Did you ever stop and think, why do the wealthy pay less taxes than we do? One reason, they take full advantage of the IRS tax code. Today's tax code is over 2 million pages. Who can read that? Remember the 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton? When asked why he doesn't pay more taxes, President Trump had the perfect answer. He said, if you don't like the current tax code, change it. I follow the very laws that you wrote. That's where Julio Gonzalez and his company, Tax Engineered Services, comes in. Julio's team looks at your taxes after they're done, but before you file them with the IRS. He doesn't get between you and your accountant. He reviews your taxes, makes his recommendations, and only gets 5 to 10% of what he saved you. No money up front, no cost. It's tax literacy for MAGA. He also sees what grants you may qualify for. For more information, text ETS to the number 26786. That's ETS to 26786. Text now.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter.
Get your truth by the truckload from America's Godzilla of Truth, The John Fredericks Show, weekdays 5 to 9 a.m. on WENO Nashville, KQPN West Memphis.
With that breaking news at townhall.com, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump will deliver a year-end address to the nation tonight.
Previewing tonight's address from the White House, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said it's going to be a really good speech.
He's going to talk a lot about the accomplishments over the past 11 months, all that he's done to bring our country back to greatness.
She said he'll also discuss his plans for the next 3 years. The president wrote on social media that it's been a great year for our country, and he said the best is yet to come. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The president travels to Dover Air Force Base today. There he'll witness the dignified transfer of 2 Iowa National Guard members killed in an attack in the Syrian desert. House Speaker Johnson is pushing ahead with a GOP plan to provide private alternatives to the Affordable Care Act. GOP strategist Aaron McGuire says Republicans are being forced to fix flaws and make the so-called Affordable Care Act dependent on subsidies from American taxpayers.
My best educated guess is that what will happen is these subsidies will collapse and they will not be renewed. What should happen is some level of an off-ramp bridge here where we start putting in the reforms we need.
McGuire spoke to the Salem Radio Network. President Trump continues to pressure Venezuela.
President Trump says he's ordering a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers into Venezuela. The move comes after U.S. forces last week seized an oil tanker off Venezuela's coast. In a social media post, Trump alleges the government of Nicolas Maduro is using oil to fund drug trafficking and other crimes, saying Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada ever assembled in the history of South America. Trump vowed it will only get bigger until the country gives the U.S. oil, land, and assets he maintains they previously stole from us. Venezuela's government has accused Trump of violating international law.
That is Ben Thomas reporting. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-366-6161. That's 800-366-6161. 800-366-6161.
And now here's Rich Thomason with the Midday Wall Street Business Report.
Warner Brothers is telling shareholders to reject a takeover bid from Paramount Skydance, saying that a rival bid from Netflix will be better for customers. It says it strongly believes a merger with Netflix will allow it to reach a broader audience. The proposed $85 billion merger of the Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern Railroads has lost the support of 2 of their biggest unions. They're worried the deal will increase safety risks, lead to higher shipping rates and consumer prices, and cause significant disruptions. The price of U.S. crude oil briefly surged more than 2% after President Trump ordered a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers into and out of Venezuela. The president says the oil revenue finances drug trafficking and other crimes. I'm Rich Thomason.
You'll find breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. USC and Brown have canceled a men's basketball game after last weekend's mass shooting in Providence.
The men's basketball game between Brown and Southern California, set for Sunday in Los Angeles, has been canceled. So has the women's game against Monmouth, which was set for Sunday in Rhode Island. Brown athletic officials announced both cancellations Tuesday. USC said the schools mutually agreed on the decision following the mass shooting on the Ivy League school's campus in Providence last Saturday. Brown's next game is scheduled for December 31st at home. The Trojans will play against a yet-to-be-announced opponent on Sunday at Galen Center. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
The NFL playoffs are set for a major shift with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs out of contention. This marks the first postseason since 1998 without Mahomes involved, Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. More on these stories at Town.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. It's Wednesday. It's Trump Day. Some people call it Hump Day. Oh, there's a helicopter landing on the roof today, coming down off the roof, on our stairs off the roof, now coming in the front door. The 47th President of the United States, along with the one, the only, Sean Farash, the very best Trump impersonator in the world. But first, President Trump, Mr. President, yesterday you declared that the government of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, the alleged narco-terrorist, you've designated the entire government of Venezuela a terrorist organization. That's unusual, but probably appropriate. Tell me about the narco-terrorist, Nicolas Maduro.
Well, it all starts with his mustache. I don't like it. And I think he should shave it. You know, it looks horrible. And so we want to get rid of the mustache. We want to get rid of Maduro. And Venezuela has been very bad to us. You know, they sent us Tren de Aragua. We turned them into Tren de Adios. And we're also taking out the drug boats. You know, you look at the boats, we're blowing them right out of the water. And you see what they did. The other day, we knocked out 3 of them with bigger bombs. This way we didn't have to double tap. We just did a quick single tap with a much bigger bomb. And the bombs are going to get bigger if they keep coming. We're just going to keep doing that.
So, Mr. President, Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, who fancies himself presidential material.
And you look at his head, by the way, you could tell your future on his head. It's like a crystal ball.
We have this clip that we didn't air it on the show, but he said, well, you know, you shouldn't be blowing up these boats because the only thing they're carrying is cocaine. Did you see that?
Well, it doesn't make it okay. Maybe he's upset because
his supplies.
It sounds like maybe it sounds like allegedly his supply chain could be impacted. I don't know.
Allegedly,
I don't know.
Could be a supply chain problem for the.
You know, I hear maybe it makes your hair fall out. So you look at it, there's a symptom. But if all they're carrying is cocaine, that's not a good thing. We don't want our children. We don't want our people. You know, we don't want cokeheads, right? And I like Diet Coke, but that's a different type of Coke.
Totally different type.
Totally different type.
So, Mr. President, this is interesting. You now also announced yesterday, big day yesterday, you announced that there is a blockade of any oil tankers coming out of Venezuela because I guess they're being sold, inappropriately and in violation of international law to China and Russia, et cetera. This blockade is a pretty big deal.
Well, I said to them, I'm the captain now. I got along very well with a lot of these pirates. You know, you look at Morgan, you look at Bartholomew. These are tremendous pirates. They wrote the code. You look at Blackbeard, you have to call him Beard of Color because you don't want to get in trouble. The fake, disgusting, corrupt news will say to me, they say Donald Trump called him Blackbeard. It's fake. You can't do that. No, I got along well with him. You may have heard of him, Jack Sparrow. I got along very well with Jack Sparrow. Captain Jack, they called him. And he sailed on the Pearl of Color, the Black Pearl, the Pearl of Color. But, they call me Captain Gold Hair. You look at that. And we've pillaged a lot. I've pillaged more than anybody's probably ever pillaged before. We have a beautiful blockade. We love the blockade. And when you look at what we're going to do to these people, if we get these people, they're going to walk the plank. And I have the biggest plank the world has ever seen. You know, you look at Maduro, he's got a very small plank. But I have a huge plank, and we're going to make him walk it. But we have a blockade. I got along very well with many of the pirates of the Caribbean. They call me the Pirate King. And, we say, avast ye scurvy dogs. We're going to do a tremendous job. And these are very
dogs.
These are very scurvy dogs. These are we call them scallywags. These are very bad people. I call them scallywags. And so you look at them, we're going to swashbuckle our way through Venezuela. And we're not letting any of the sanctioned tankers go through. We're going to take the oil. We're going to take everything. And they're not going to be happy about it, but that's their problem. That's not our problem.
So back in the pirate days, which apparently are coming back, Venezuela and Colombia were referred to as the Spanish Main, right? Because the islands in the Caribbean were separate islands. And you had all the great swashbuckling movies right now. But right now, to me, it looks like this is the first time in over half a century that the United States has had a naval blockade on the country. The last blockade in 1962 of Cuba, when they were trying to basically put in missiles in Cuba that could come and hit the United States of America. Is there foreign influence in Venezuela right now?
Well, there's a lot. You have Russia, you have Iran, you have China, and we're not letting them in. We're not going to let them in, but we got along very well with many of the wonderful pirates. Captain Kidd, I did a tremendous job. We did great deals with Captain Kidd. And there's a lot of people who think his treasure is on Oak Island in Canada. There's a beautiful show about it. And if I was the president of Canada, we would have found it already. But nobody knows what the hell's going on. Maybe Candace Owens can get to the bottom of it. I hear she likes to do these things. But you look at it, we're doing well with our blockade. We're doing well with, and we're going to do very well with Venezuela. I get along incredibly well with Davy Jones. You may have heard of him. He has a locker, and I built the locker, and we sent people to the locker, the drug people. They went right to the locker. And we're going to send more people to the locker if they keep continuing to mess around. So it's called, there's a nasty phrase, but we'd say mess around and find out when we're on the radio because you can't say the other one.
There you go. So, Mr. President, over the weekend, you went to the Army-Navy football game, and you did the coin toss. I guess perhaps because, you're relying on the Navy for this blockade. Navy won the game, 17-16.
Yeah, and we're going to win the game in Venezuela, too. But it was the greatest, a lot of people said to me, sir, that was the greatest coin toss the world has ever seen. Nobody tosses a coin quite like you do. It was a strong toss. It was a tough toss. It was a highly respected toss. It was a perfect toss. Many people say it. We've never seen a toss like this. It flipped so many times. Nobody knew which way it was going to land. I knew which way it was going to land. And Navy did a fantastic job. They won by a point.
Yeah, 17-16.
But it doesn't matter how much you win by. It just matters that you win.
Yeah.
And they won. And we're going to win in Venezuela, too. There's a lot of people in Venezuela that don't like it. But we love it, and we love our Navy. We love our Navy. And they're doing a tremendous job. This is the biggest blockade the world has ever seen. It's an armada. They're calling it an armada.
Is it the Trump Armada?
It's the Trump Armada. It's a fleet. It's a tremendous thing. And nobody can touch the Pirate King. I can tell you that. Nobody can touch the Pirate King.
A little personal family news. Your son, Donald Trump Jr., announced, I think it was yesterday, that he's getting married again to Bettina Anderson.
Well, she has to watch out because if that falls through, we're going to have to send her to some country nobody's ever heard of. That's what we did to Kim. And she did a fantastic job.
So,
but she better watch
are
out.
you telling me Bettina Anderson might be the future ambassador to, Poland?
Well, we've heard of Poland. We don't know where the hell Kim is. So I think we might have sent her. Elon may have sent her to Mars. Think about it. She seems like a wonderful person.
Speaking of Elon.
Wonderful person.
A couple things. First, it's announced, I guess he's the first person in history to be worth over $600 billion. And now apparently...
I'm worth a little more than that. But that's okay.
Apparently you're in good terms with him now. There's a report he's going to invest money or donate money to help Republicans win in the midterms.
Yeah, we're looking very closely at it. We have to watch him because he did a couple of things that weren't very nice. But now he's being nice again. He wants to fund our campaigns in 2026, which we can do. If only he could get the people out. The people like to be lazy and stay home. We don't want that to happen.
Last question. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called Elon Musk the dumbest billionaire she's ever met.
That's rich. I have to say that. You look at her, and she's probably the dumbest, maybe millionaire. I think she's probably worth $1 million. I can say this. Just like Tim Walz, a very stupid person.
Mr. President, your helicopter's here. So good luck on your address to the nation tonight. Sean Frost is going to stick around. And then in our next segment also, we're going to be interviewing Marsha Blackburn. Pretty great senator, wouldn't you say, Mr.
She's
President?
a tremendous person doing a fantastic job.
And on that note, we'll be back with Marsha Blackburn and Sean Frost after this.
Hi folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just 1 scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
In studio, Sean Frosh, the very best Trump impersonator in the world. On our Zoom Newsmaker line right now, our very good friend, Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee. Good morning, Senator Blackburn.
Good morning to you.
Well, Senator Blackburn, there's been a lot of talk, threats by the Democrats. Even earlier yesterday, Senator Schumer indicated that, well, if they don't extend all of these Obamacare subsidies, we may shut the government down again. But you've got some facts about the Republican health care plan, how it would make health care more affordable. What are the key points you want to make on that, Senator Blackburn?
Indeed. And I think it's important to say what Chuck Schumer is running around saying right now, that the Obamacare subsidies will expire, is patently false. Because the subsidies don't expire. What does expire is the Biden COVID pandemic plus-up that the Democrats put in place and set to expire on December 31st, 2025. COVID is over. You don't need these plus-ups. And what they did was to have $0 premiums for many people, and then they took the income caps off. So people that were making $500,000 a year had the taxpayer paying 80 to 90% of their health insurance. The underlying issue is Obamacare is too expensive to afford. And the Democrats are doubling down on their push to save Obamacare by trying to line the pockets of insurance companies. Republicans are saying it is time for choice and options for people that are in the exchange, and we need to start by not sending the money to the insurance companies, but sending it to people, send it to the patients, send it to consumers so they can buy the insurance they want at a price that they can afford. Our plan would lower the cost of health insurance by about 11%. The Democrats' plan is an $83 billion cost to the taxpayers. Our plan cuts off Medicaid funding for gender transition surgeries and for health care coverage for illegals. It allows individuals to have health savings accounts and to have more say and more options in their health care. And we've got a little one-pager that is on our website where we put the provisions of the Republican plan and the provisions of the Democrat plan side by side so that your audience can pull that down and see for themselves.
But don't you think that politically Senator Schumer is angling towards another shutdown over this issue?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He wants to have another shutdown and has really been quite vocal about that. They felt like having the government shut down for 43 days was a great thing for them. They're doing everything they can possibly do to stall the agenda of President Donald Trump. They want a recession. They want inflation to continue. And as we have said, under Biden, inflation was at 9.1%. We've gotten it down to 3%. I saw gas this weekend at $2.37, $2.47 in Tennessee. And gas and groceries, those prices are coming down. We're working on housing and health care. And one of the ways you get inflation down is for the government to spend less. The way you get the cost of health care down is making certain that there are choice and options for individuals, for patients, and that you're not sending money to big insurance companies. You are sending it to people that are in the program. And that's how you turn this corner to private sector and individual control of health care and not government control. We have to realize the Democrats had said Obamacare was a step on the way to government-controlled health care. And now they don't want health savings accounts. They don't want the money to go to individuals. They want it to go to these insurance companies. And when you look at the Obamacare exchange, it's a 24 million individuals are enrolled in that. Now, what we have found out as we started to dig into the waste, fraud, and abuse of the program is that about 12 million people have never, ever once used their Obamacare insurance. So they're enrolled in the program, but they're not active. And so we started looking at that and found out that since the money goes directly to the insurance company, that you have some insurance brokers who have name, address, contact information for individuals. They enroll these people in the program. They take that payment from the federal government. An individual is sent something, they've not signed up for Obamacare, they throw it in the trash. We also found out that 6.4 million people are fraudulently enrolled in it. And we found this out by the GAO and the Inspector General doing a test case. And people, they had thousands of people with the exact same Social Security number, different name, different address, that got enrolled into the program. And the stats on that are pretty compelling. The estimate is that 6.4 million are fraudulently enrolled. So we're saying, let's clean up the program. Let's make certain that people that are illegally in the country are not on it. Let's make certain that enrollees actually are enrolled in the program and using it. Let's cut out the waste, fraud, and abuse, and let's change this marketplace so that you have Trump-era choice and options, and not just the Obamacare mandates that have nuns paying for maternity insurance and teetotalers paying for alcohol treatment, and young men having to pay for maternity coverage. And, there are things like this. Let's let people buy what they want at a price they can afford.
Senator Blackburn, you are well known for being able to work in a bipartisan way with Democrats. I don't know how many bills you've co-sponsored with Democrats on important things. And so you can work with Democrats, I've seen in your career in the Senate. Looking at this now, do you think anyone in the Democratic Party, the 47 senators who are aligned with the Democratic Party, will any of them listen to the Republican health care plan and consider supporting it?
We have encouraged them to, because part of our solutions are my legislation on expanding health savings accounts and a cross-state line purchase of health insurance, plus association health plans. Now, one of the things we know is when people get an insurance policy they like, they want to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to keep that network of doctors. They don't want to be forced to change. So what we're saying is, let's simplify this system. When people get something that they like, let them keep it. Give them that portability in those plans. Let them have a health savings account and put that money away every year. Keep it. If they don't have to use all of it, maybe it's a year, nothing extraneous happens. They just have well child checkups, and things of that nature, and they can pay for that on a cash basis out of their health savings account, and then keep that money and then have it for later in their life when they may need it.
Well, Senator Blackburn, the problem that the Democrats are going to have with this bill and the Republican plan is it's common sense, right?
You're right.
I think they're allergic to common sense.
Well, and they want the federal government to be in control of health care.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were trying their hardest to expand to Obamacare.
Mm-hmm.
See, the program is too expensive to afford.
Mm-hmm.
And, Michael, it's the exact same situation we went through in Tennessee
Mm-hmm.
with TennCare. And that's how it was too expensive to afford. And that's why they wanted a state income tax. And what we're saying is, no, a program, a health care insurance program that has all of these mandates on it that people do not want is far too expensive to afford. So what we need is choice and options, and let's go in and design something that gives individuals choice and options.
And you mentioned one thing I want to emphasize to our listeners. 25 years ago, you were one of the leaders, if not the leader, of the effort that stopped the attempts to put a state income tax here in Tennessee. And let me say, as a Tennessean, thank you very much for a job well done.
Well, thank you for that. And, when it comes to health care, some of my colleagues and I are talking about how you turn this back to the state.
Mm-hmm.
Because Tennessee is an innovator in health care.
Mm-hmm.
And as President Trump sends more power and authority for health care, energy, education, benefits, regulations, the list goes on, sends it back to the states, this is our opportunity. We can show people how you innovate in healthcare delivery, and we've got some great examples.
Senator Blackburn, I know you're very busy. We're going to let you go, but next time you're back in the state, please come in the studio. It'll be a lot of fun.
I would love it. Thanks.
All right,
Bye.
thank you, Senator Marsha Blackburn. We'll be back with Sean Farage with his analysis of that interview after this.
everyone. EJ Haast here, founder of the Digital Footprint Management Agency and frequent guest on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, here to tell you about GetFoundEverywhere.com. Customers are searching for your business everywhere: Google, Apple Maps, TikTok, and new AI platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini, which is a total disruptor. Traditional search engine optimization isn't dead, but it is on life support. Old tactics don't work anymore. So how can you make your business stand out? GetFoundEverywhere.com makes your business pop on over 50 search, map, review, and AI-driven platforms. With one easy dashboard, manage business profiles, social media accounts, direct messages, even texts and reviews. GetFoundEverywhere.com is affordable, boosts your visibility, and gets your business more customers. It's time to step up your game the easy way. Save time, save money, and get more customers with GetFoundEverywhere.com.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at DT McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. DT McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it, believe me.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We are joined in the studio because it's Trump Day, Hump Day, by the very best Trump impersonator in the world, like me, a native of New York, like me, now a resident of the greatest state in the country, Tennessee, Sean Farage. Sean, back up north. On Saturday, there was a mass shooting at Brown University. 2 young people were murdered. Many were injured. The investigation has yielded nothing.
Nothing.
And the police chief is Police Chief Perez, Oscar Perez, I think is the guy's name. I can't understand him when he talks. Can you?
Well, that was my problem. I was watching the press conference yesterday, and I was saying, because there was a name floating around the internet, someone that they thought maybe could have been the person. And fine, because you're asking the public for help, so that's what the public's doing. They're trying to help, and I will say the name that was floating around yesterday, you look at the body type and all that, you say, I could see how that might be the person in the video. So they're doing that. And I'm thinking maybe they're going to give an update on, is that the new person of interest? Is that not the new person? Can't understand a word he's saying.
No,
now,
you can't.
I mean, how do you communicate when you're asking the public for help, right? Because that's what they're doing.
Right.
Fine. If the public can't understand what you're saying, how is the public supposed to help? Moreover, you've got nothing. The Attorney General of Rhode Island was like, I think the investigation's going very well. How is this going well?
You got nothing.
You don't know who the shooter is.
Yeah.
You don't know where the shooter is. There are clearer videos of Sasquatch than there is of this shooter. Okay? Yeah. You don't have a motive. Your police chief you can't understand what he's saying at the press conference. You got to keep jumping in, but it's going well. I'd hate to see what it looks like when it's going badly.
Well, yeah, not only that.
This is being handled worse than the New York Jets.
That's pretty.
And that's pretty bad.
That is a low bar,
That's bad.
my friend.
Very bad.
Yeah, and the other part about this is the president of Brown is clueless. The mayor of Providence is clueless. They're the most easy to understand person in these press conferences. By the way, Dana Perino, who knows about communication, has called the first press conference a hot mess, and it's gotten worse.
It gets worse and worse every time. Every time I think it can't get worse, they do
worse.
another press conference, and I'm like, well, that's even worse now. You might as well have just stayed home.
Do you know who the most effective communicator in all of this is? It's the theatric sign language.
Yes,
signer.
I
guy,
have to
right?
watch the sign lady to understand what Oscar Perez Jr., the police chief, is saying, because her facial expressions and the signs that she makes with her hands tell me more than what I know people are going to be like, oh, give him a break. He's Hispanic. I don't care what ethnicity you are. Communication is very important in something like this, and I'm not the only one who feels this way. A lot of people are like, I wish I could understand what he's saying.
So
I can't.
The mayor also said they've done a great job, but
real great.
But you'll see. He has a caveat about it. Let's play this clip of the mayor of Providence, Mayor Smiley.
President Donald Trump has said that Brown University is to blame for this shooting and saying it's the school's problem. Is that a fair criticism, or do you disagree with what the president said?
I don't think it's fair criticism.
Colonel. Can you expand on that?
Why not? Because Brown University is not collaborating with you guys. You're lying to the press over here. They have facial recognition. We know that because they follow the students, they follow everybody in the neighborhood. Facial recognition. They need to release that data so everybody know who the guy is in video. We got the video Saturday. Why you guys release the video today?
Governor, I think that answers the question.
Listen, Colonel, I have just
John, please, just for a second. A couple things. First of all, Brown University and Brown Public Safety, Brown Police Department has been a close collaborator throughout this process.
That's not true.
I do not accept that criticism.
No, come on. We know that.
Secondly, everyone you see behind us, we've all been working for now 49 hours. We're tired.
No, we're tired.
We're tired.
We're tired.
We're tired.
We've accomplished nothing.
But we're tired.
But we're tired.
What are you? It's like what they're sitting on an exercise bike, expecting to go somewhere. At least there you're burning calories. This is the incompetence on display in Providence, Rhode Island right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been posting about it. I'm saying, look, if you're from Rhode Island, you have to be embarrassed by this. And I know a lot of people who live in Rhode Island, that they'll say, we didn't vote for this, but unfortunately, it's a blue state, and that is what you get. Okay, Utah was able to track down Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin in what? 33 hours. 33 hours is what it was. 33. We are approaching, it was Saturday, so we've gone all day Sunday, we had the wrong guy.
Mm-hmm.
You gone all day Monday, you gone all day Tuesday, we're halfway into Wednesday. We're getting close to 96 hours at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know where he is. They don't know if he's in Providence. They don't know if there was a motive. They don't know if this young woman, Ella Cook, was targeted or not. They don't know anything. People were asking, did the shooter actually shout something? Because it's been reported
He shouted something.
That the shooter shouted something. And they said, what is it? We're investigating that. There is no investigation. Did he shout something or not, right? Do you have a credible lead that he shouted something? You could at least answer. You don't have to tell me what it was. You could at least answer, hey, we think he did shout something. Nothing.
So here's the thing.
How do you expect the public? How do you expect the public to find this guy and help when you give the public nothing?
Well, not only that, there are reports that some witnesses said he shouted, wait for it, Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, Aloha Snack Bar. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And but then there's also some reports. Well, we weren't sure exactly what he said, so therefore we're not going to say. This is ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, back to your point is, if you want to find the guy, obviously it's investigation 101. If he shouts something that suggests this is politically motivated, this is an area of inquiry you should follow.
Absolutely.
Hello.
And they're giving the public nothing except Sasquatch videos, right? Very grainy videos.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, it was in an old building. Oh, okay. Imagine you go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel good. Okay. And the doctor says, what's wrong? And you're like, I don't know. Find out. You give them nothing. If you have a sore throat, you could say, all right, we'll do a throat culture. Maybe you got strep. If you have something wrong with your chest, say, okay, maybe it's bronchitis. If you give your doctor no information, how the heck are you going to get treated? Right? You go to a mechanic, right? What's wrong with your car? I don't know. Figure it out. Well, your tire's flat. You think that's it? Could be. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. If you're looking for help, go to a restaurant. How do you want your steak cooked? Surprise me, but if it's not what I want, then I'm going to get mad. And then you hear, well, we're tired. We're tired? What?
What on earth are you talking about?
These people are, I am a Jets fan. I know what incompetence looks like. This is worse.
It is, yeah.
This is worse
than
what I've been conditioned to and subjected to since the day I was born with regards to my football team. This is so bad. I cannot believe how badly they're handling it.
So Oscar Perez, the police chief, who we can't understand because of his heavy...
I got to watch the sign language later. I'm literally going to learn sign language to find out what he's saying.
Would you like to know where he was born?
I'm going to take a guess and say it probably wasn't here.
Medellin, Colombia.
Okay. Fine, by the way. You want to come in, legally and do that? I don't have an issue. But
he moved here when he was 13.
Okay.
He's been a police officer since 1994.
Okay.
The mayor there selected him as the chief of police in 2023. I think he really had one overarching quality. Which he was.
An immigrant.
Yeah. And Spanish speaking.
Fine. I have no problem if you earn it.
But he's not a competent police chief.
If you're not a good communicator, you're going to see the public lose faith in you, and that is exactly what's happening right now. You turn into a press conference to have a conference with the press. If the members of the press can't understand what you're saying, it's not a conference. It's a struggle.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's exactly what it's been.
A struggle. It's a struggle session.
Oh,
so,
gosh.
Okay. Here, let me get the broader issue. I think by promoting DEI types over decades in blue cities and blue states cannot get anything done.
No.
So, for instance, take a look at in Rhode Island, they cannot investigate this crime. They just cannot do it. In Minnesota, Tim Walz has how many billions of dollars stolen from him, and from the state and federal government and these welfare, these COVID frauds.
Yeah,
he can't investigate it. They cannot. There's something about the process that leads you up the chain of political success in the Democrat world, which says you cannot be somebody who has any common sense,
right, or integrity. I mean, if you do right by the taxpayer, I mean, in Wall's case, it's really wild because, look at how much money has left the state, and you're seeing predominantly how many, which group is primarily responsible for that. Of course, he's not going to investigate that because they vote for him. They support him.
We've got a bad word here in this Waltz clip, and so let's play the first 10 seconds of this and see if we can. Yeah, this is Waltz talking about.
All right,
let's go.
June 14th. They've been saying it since that horrific day at Annunciation. They continue to say it. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And I've traveled across the state. These folks have traveled across the states. I've said in town halls, the deep sense of frustration, the deep sense of anger, the deep sense of grief and loss around gun violence.
Okay, we'll just stop it right there. We'll just stop because he then calls it BS. After that. And basically what he's doing is because of the Australia situation, the Brown situation, he's asking for, wait for it, more gun control.
Yeah.
Now, you look at this, even the Brown situation. What if one of those students had been carrying, right? And a bad guy comes in.
You neutralize the bad guy.
You neutralize the bad guy.
I don't know. We don't have a motive on Brown yet. All right, there's a lot of hypotheses, right? There's a lot of theories. We do have a motive on Australia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Islamist terror.
That was radical Islamic terror.
Yeah.
I don't think we need gun control. I think we need to control something else.
Yeah.
Right? The motivating factor that for some reason the whole world refuses to say a word that is critical of Islam. And that's because Islam is the only religious group that when they get offended, blow things up.
Mm-hmm.
No one cares about offending Christians. No one cares about offending Jews. No one cares about offending Hindus. Because look what happened in Paris, Charlie Hebdo, right? The magazine. They drew a picture. Oh, you can't do that. So they go in and they start shooting. They start blowing things. Why do we allow this?
Yeah.
Especially in our country.
So here's the thing. There's one way that the Providence shooter will be identified. The FBI's got to take that over. And they 100%. Should have taken it over because, whenever there's a mass shooting at a school, the FBI comes in immediately.
Yep.
They need to be doing that and they need to take control of it.
They have to. This is going nowhere. It's going backwards.
Oh, yeah.
If anything, it's going backwards.
Yeah. And look, a shooter sees this. Where are they going to go next?
Right back to where this is.
Blue cities, blue states.
100%.
Boom. You're going to see this more.
They're going to target the incompetence. They're going to exploit these weaknesses. You usually don't see in a school shooting the shooter get away.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, who knows where this guy is? And that's real bad.
This guy is gone. And
hopefully not for long, but I mean,
it will
becomes
hard.
Significantly more difficult the
Exactly.
further you get away from the incident.
Well, Sean, guess what? When we come back, news potpourri.
Yeah.
Back after this.
Tom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Soul Tea
bone and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today. And get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, folks. It's that time of day again, Sean. It's time for News Potpourri. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, News Potpourri. This is the portion of the program we talk about those stories that are of note, don't necessarily merit a full segment, but may have a touch of
irony.
Well, here's a story. Interesting. Do you remember Katie Couric?
I do.
Katie
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Katie Couric kind of epitomizes the regime media.
Yeah.
She was like, the superstar, the young superstar on the Today Show, and I think she replaced Jane Pauley. Tom Brokaw was kind of her mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was the she was the anchor for CBS News for 5 years.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Katie Couric.
And then she went off into the appropriate obscurity. And she's trying to do stuff right now. She's doing some podcasting. There are some vile leftist, liberal women hosts of a show, and all they do is they just lie and trash about Donald Trump. Have you seen those?
Is it The View?
Yeah.
Like The View?
No, the worst, I think.
It's worse than The View.
Worse than The View. Oh, yeah, they're just
Wow.
really bad.
That's wild.
Look at what Katie Couric had to say to them the other day.
So proud of what you've built here and what you're doing and using your voices and talking about important things and raising a little hell.
Yeah.
And I think my daughter Ellie said, if you watch these two ladies, they go off. And I said, I've seen them and I approve this message.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love that.
3 white women, huh? Yeah. There's not a lot of diversity. Was one of them Jennifer Welch? Is that lady?
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen
Just
her.
so you know.
Yeah.
Terrible.
You know what? 3 white women. I think this is, you know what? It could be. If that was 3 white Republican women, Democrats would call it a Klan meeting. I'm not going to call it that. I'm just going to say what they would call it. And I say that show should be canceled because there's a lack of diversity, and diversity is our strength.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, the tragic murder of Rob Reiner and his wife. I mean, the details are out there.
Yeah.
His son, who had drug problems, has been arrested.
Yep.
$4 million bond. He apparently But the weird part about this is Michelle Obama went on Jimmy Kimmel last night and said, we were scheduled to have dinner with him Sunday evening. It's just weird.
It is weird.
The whole thing's weird.
It's unfortunate.
It's
that
very
it happened.
sad.
It's very sad. I know Trump made comments and people were like, this is terrible. I mean, I said it was not in good taste and I wouldn't have sent it. But I also, it doesn't impact me,
No.
right? Does it impact the cost of beef? Because that's what I really care about. Okay, and I was like, you know what? Roast beef still the same price today. Don't care about a Truth Social post. But Marjorie Taylor Greene went on CNN and cried about it yesterday.
Oh my
with
gosh!
Caitlin Collins.
What has happened with her?
I'll tell you what.
Tell me.
Brian Glenn has really bad taste.
Ooh.
That's what I'm going to say.
Announces engagement.
Good luck.
I
say good luck.
I give it a year.
Yeah, because she's going to be home now. She's not working in Congress. He's engaged. All right, whatever.
Okay, so
Have fun.
I got to get a reaction to this. Johnny Manziel warning.
Uh-oh. That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
So Diego Pavia
Yeah.
goes to the Heisman Trophy Award. Great quarterback.
He had a good season with Vanderbilt this year.
A great leader on the field.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of an attitude.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
So he comes in second. He doesn't win.
Right. Mendoza won the Heisman.
Yeah,
right?
Fernando Mendoza.
Hopefully.
I would have, Diego, I would have voted for you if I
There
had
you
voted.
go. There you go.
I think he had more impact and was more valuable to his team, and I think he was I think he was better overall than Fernando Mendoza. Right?
Yeah. Hopefully, future Jet quarterback.
Probably.
And I don't mean that. I mean, I hope the best for Fernando Mendoza. So I'd say maybe not a Jet quarterback.
But Diego, of course, he's got a certain style to
Yeah.
him. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. He's wearing clothes that are you wouldn't expect a Heisman Trophy candidate
Sure.
to wear. But
Sure.
okay, so he
Yes.
goes there, and right after the trophy, and he finishes in second place. He goes clubbing in New York, and Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Diego, not the way to go, buddy. And then he puts basically out a message on social media, blank all the Heisman voters.
Okay, well,
You
I
saw
get to-
that, right?
yes, and I you know what? I heard too the sound of Diego Pavia's draft stock plummeting.
Boom. Down.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Look, he's barely 6 feet tall. Nobody wants somebody who's a sore loser. I'm sorry to say that, Diego.
No.
Now, it sort of fits the category, but
maturity is something that can be learned. Baker Mayfield had this
I
problem.
think he
Manziel had the problem and never got better.
if he hadn't said that, yeah, you're right. If he hadn't said that, he probably would have been a 3rd or 4th round draft pick.
Yeah. Someone would have taken a shot.
He-
I think
I-
now he's 6 or 7. If
Maybe
6, 7.
he may be an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Bad move. Okay, let's talk about some good football news. Grandpa Phil Rivers.
Oh, what a story!
I love that story.
What a story!
So he comes back after 5 years of retirement.
Yeah.
He plays a good game.
Yeah.
With 45 seconds left, he brings his team down. They go ahead by a field goal. The defense screws it up, and the Seattle Seahawks end up with a last-minute field goal and win.
Yep.
But he had a very good game.
5 years on the couch, right? Well, he's not. First of all, he is coaching high school football, and that's the real part of the story. He's coaching a Catholic high school football team in Alabama.
Yeah.
And there was a video of these kids watching him.
Yeah.
And going absolutely crazy when he threw the touchdown pass.
Yeah.
And I said, there it is. There's the role model that young men need in this country. It's not Nick Fuentes. It's not any of these online shock jocks. It is Philip Rivers, who is immensely pro-life.
Yeah.
10 kids with 1 woman, 7 daughters, 3 boys, and is involved deeply in crisis pregnancy centers that he and his wife founded to help the pro-life cause. He endorsed Rick
Love the
Santorum
story.
in 2012.
Love the guy.
This guy is who kids should be looking up to.
And on that happy note,
yes,
Sean Farash.
There it is.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, Rob Carson. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock Central Time. Our website, TennesseeStar.com, TennesseeStar.com. Thanks for joining us today.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com. Listen to Michael Patrick Leahy and make America great again.
FlatFeeNashville.com is a full-service real estate brokerage that charges homeowners a upfront flat fee of $999 to completely list, market, and sell your home. We are all about saving consumers money, saving that equity. Nobody should hire an agent and feel like when that agent walks in the door that that agent is more concerned about the down payment on their next Mercedes purchase versus saving the equity that those homeowners have worked hard for. I've spent a career, my entire career, in ensuring that the equity that people save and they put into their monthly mortgage every single month as much of that as we possibly can goes back to them when they go to list and sell that home. The idea is to give homeowners the ability to really create generational wealth.
Flatfeenashville.com, flatfeenashville.com.